Yo,
Hey, there we go. How are
what's up?
you?
What's up?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I went live and then I didn't get you in, and then I was like, I think I must have pressed the wrong button.
Happens.
But yeah, it
Technology.
happens. Yeah, it happens. But yeah, I just wanted to say, everybody that's joining in today, I'm Mikey. I'm the founder of o0ne Tennis Clothing, and I'd like everybody to give a warm welcome to somebody that needs no introduction, Tennys Sandgren.
I appreciate it, man. I'm happy to be a part of the o0ne Tennis Clothing family. Been enjoying wearing the brand the last, it's been a couple months, almost a month and a half or
Yeah,
so. Gotten great feedback, honestly. Everybody likes it. My mom likes it, which is great.
that's the main
That's a
thing.
big deal. I think the first match I played, she was like, what is this clothing brand? Like, it looks great. And she's not afraid to tell me that it doesn't look great or that I need to wear something else. So that's a big endorsement. If anybody needs a bigger endorsement than that, then I don't know. I don't think there is.
That's good.
Yeah, it's been really good. I've been enjoying it a lot.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, me personally, this is a big welcome, me welcoming you to the brand. And it's just a real pleasure to have you part of this journey. It's going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can achieve together. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be an interesting calendar year anyway.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. So I've got a question for you.
Okay.
What's the mood over on the other side of the pond with what's been going on with Wimbledon?
Well,
We don't need to get into the geopolitics of the situation, but what's it like over there?
Yeah, me personally, just because you're from that country, I don't think you should have it stripped away from you not to be able to play a tournament. But then the point system, because of that act, I think is ridiculous. Because you could have somebody who's, look, Goran Ivanisevic won as a wild card and gained a lot of points from it. So
that was awesome.
If Wimbledon this year throws up a complete, not an obvious choice who's going to win the tournament, and then he wins, gets no points for it, stays at 120 in the world because of that action. So,
right.
Me personally, a lot of people I speak to are not happy about it, and hopefully there's enough people shouting that they change it, because I remember when they paused people's points when the COVID first hit, and some people would have been ranked 60 plus in the world upwards, but they weren't because of the protected ranking points and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I don't think it sits well with a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, it's brutal, really. It's a brutal situation. As far as whatever can be brutal in the sport of tennis. At the end of the day, it's the tennis. But
it wouldn't be good for yourself.
It's interesting. It's interesting how I think if you did well last year, you're just going to lose those points with no chance to defend. It makes I think if you poll the top 100 guys, I don't know, 80% would probably say their favorite slam is Wimbledon. So it just sucks that it diminishes the event.
I've got people.
Yeah.
I've got people that are not going to watch Wimbledon now.
Right. Right. I wish there was a normal Wimbledon. I wish that the Russian and Belarusian players were able to play, and I wish there were points, and I wish, sport's supposed to take our minds off of the world,
very much so.
So that'd be a good thing. A great championships is always, it's a pleasure. I know from just being a tennis fan. You talk about that Goran Ivanisevic Wimbledon. That was one of my favorite tennis memories that I have growing up. I was watching that and being so stricken and torn by if I wanted Goran to win or Pat Rafter. I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Tim Henman.
Tim was close.
Between the three of them, I was like, gosh, I don't know. Each one would be so cool. So yeah, it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild.
Mm,
But I
it
was
is.
curious what you thought, just kind of what the vibe was over there, with
I
because
just
it's such a big deal. You know, in the States, Wimbledon, you know, the average community doesn't hit the Richter scale. You know, but
no,
over there, it's a different story.
yeah, yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
But I think there'll be enough noise to hopefully overturn it. But
that would be very interesting.
if they
Very interesting.
overturn it, then they should overturn the fact that Russian and Belarusian players aren't allowed to play. If you
I wonder
overturn the
if they
points,
will.
you overturn
Be
the fact that,
interesting.
yeah.
Right,
But
it'll
we'll
be
see.
interesting.
We'll see. We'll find
Yeah,
out.
well, I'll be over there for qualies if they do. I'll
Well,
be over
we're,
there.
we're, we're going to be meeting in person as soon as you're over for qualies because
Yes,
I've got a
fantastic,
lot of tennis gear to give you. So, yeah, it should be
fantastic.
good. Anyway, I'd
Right.
like to start off by asking you a question.
Yes.
What did you think about the clothing from playtesting it? Because you received it in Indian Wells, if I remember correctly, just before going to Indian Wells qualies.
Just before. Right. Right.
Just
Right.
before.
Right.
And, you know, having worn different brands throughout your career,
Yes.
what gave you the confidence to say, you know, this brand is right for me?
It's just multiple reasons. I mean, the fit of the clothes themselves is important. I feel like I'm a little bit bigger than a few guys, especially in the upper body area, and so the way that fits is kind of important for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that fit was great. The shorts were a very good length. It's got that nice material on the inseam, which a little extra stretch there, which is nice.
I thought you might like that.
Sweat absorption was good. I like the concept, obviously, of the recycled plastic. It's a beautiful concept, and I don't know. You're just kind of like amazed that it can be so comfortable out of that material. You know, it's kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
it's very interesting, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, those things were big. I love the buttons, honestly, on the shirt. I like the 3 buttons.
Instead of 2.
Right, where you can
Yeah.
pick your poison. You
Yeah.
can have a little clasp with the 1 button,
Yeah.
and then leave the top 2, which is what I do. Or you can go all the buttons, or you can go none of them. I mean, you got options.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
options. And so
And
I
then you
like
can
that.
rock it out at a club somewhere if you really wanted to.
You could.
And
You could, actually. You could.
I know.
Yeah, it's just the cut. I think, honestly, just the cut is what kind of sold me. Just the cut of the clothes and the way that it sits and fits on my body.
Fantastic.
It's a big fan of.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear because I had a lot of feedback from friends, family, people at the tennis club when they saw you in it for the first time, and they were like, "Was this purposely made for this guy? Because he's
Yeah.
just making the clothing look insanely good."
Yeah,
And
it's
then,
actually, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say I look insanely good or anything like that, but but that's for
well,
others to say. That's not for me to say. That's for others to say. But the cut, which is, like I said, something that I find difficult, like the Euro size clothes of tops just doesn't sit well for me.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
bigger guy, you know,
Yeah.
bigger, more upper body mass. So just the fact that the cut, which I feel like I'm more of like a normal person. Like some of these guys look like they're about to put the tennis rackets down and go join the Tour de France. You know, so I feel like I'm more of a normal guy size, which, you know, like I said, finding a cut that fits me well, and when I start sweating and stuff, and does it get too tight or does it get too bothersome?
yeah. Oh, that's good. That's really good to hear.
Right, because at a certain point, when it's hot outside, you're soaking your clothes. I mean, you're soaking your clothes.
Yeah.
And if the cut is too tight, then it gets really restrictive when you're soaked. But if the cut's good and your shirt's really wet, well then, you know, your shirt's soaked, but it's not really that much of a problem. You can continue on. You don't feel the need to change every 2 changeovers, which is great. So.
Yeah,
the cuts.
I remember watching Murray when he was on his comeback playing against Tsitsipas at the Australian Open, and I was looking at their clothing. They'd been on court for a set, and the tops were soaked through.
Yes.
Their shorts were soaked through, and I was like, okay, so this is one thing I need to make sure my tennis clothing isn't like, because that's not something I'd want to do, and not particularly something I'd want to promote.
Right.
I know you can change your shirt, which is fine, but you know, when I play tennis, okay, I'm in England, I'm not in America, and it's a
Right.
different kind of heat. You know, I still sweat like any other tennis player, and I just found that it absorbed it extremely well, and sort of gave me comfort over anything. It was just the
Right.
comfort side of things that really fitted well.
Right.
But
When I played Novak at the U.S. Open in 2018. It's
yeah,
2018. I played him at the U.S. Open. I won the third set, I think, but it was a really hot, humid U.S. Open, brutal weather, and we played at night, and so the heat wasn't too bad, but it was crazy humid.
yeah,
And I think after the third set, I had changed my shirt like 10 times. Like, I'm not even like 8 to 10 times I had changed my shirt already, and so the he didn't need to. I was probably doing more running than he was doing, so I was sweating a little bit more. I look over, he's changed his shirt like twice, and I've changed my shirt like 10 times. I'm like, well, this match is over. Like, I'm playing pretty good, but there's no way I don't have enough fluids in my body to play 2 more sets. But it makes a difference when you're just plowing through shirts and you're sweating outrageous, and you're not getting any sort of help in that regard. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. When it's really bad outside, you know, when you get to the extremes of the temperature and scale that you can play in, every little bit helps. You know, every little bit makes a difference. And even if it's, you know, just a tiny percent that it's helping you, that's a big deal.
I suppose the last thing you really want to be worried about when you walk on court is your clothing. That should be something that's completely nailed down. So
Right.
that's the least of your worries.
You shouldn't be thinking about it.
No.
Shouldn't be thinking about it.
No. Okay. Well,
which is something that's happened to me in the past. Honestly, it's happened to me in the past where I know that if I get in a dogfight of a match, I know my shirt's going to bother me, or I know that my shorts are going to get too heavy, or something like that. Like, that's happened to me in the past, and it's not fun because, the last thing you should be worried about is your clothing. It should be the tennis or strategy, or trying to keep your head screwed on in the right on your shoulders. You know, I don't even spend all my time thinking about that. I don't even think about my shirt being too heavy or something. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as you know, there's a new range of clothing coming out very soon. If we touch as many pieces of wood as we can, it should be next week.
Okay.
So
all the wood. Everybody touch all the wood. All 34 of you touch all the wood, please.
So based on the new range of clothing coming out next week or the week after, interested to hear what your tennis schedule is, so that people can sort of think, okay, I'm going to be seeing Tennys Sandgren in o0ne's new range. So what's your sort of schedule for the next weeks, months from now?
I've got a plethora of challengers to play here in the States. Still not sure on the grass if I'm going to come over for Wimbledon qualies or not. I'm basically just on a point scavenger hunt, trying to find matches, trying to find my level, try to get some consistency going. I feel like my level's pretty good, but I'm not able to sustain it for whatever reason, either it's my body or whatever the case may be. I'm dealing with a little shoulder injury right now, so trying to get over that and trying to be healthy, which is a challenge as you get older, I guess.
I've got one.
Everything else feels pretty good. That's the bonus of having something feeling injured, is that all the other things that were nagging you don't seem to hurt quite as much. So that's cool. But I'm playing the Little Rock and Orlando Challengers the next 2 weeks. Then there's 2 more before Wimbledon that I'm thinking about playing. Not sure. I might skip one of the weeks to go see a specialist up in New York for fascial tissue and help and work and try to get me in better shape for the rest of the hardcourt swing for the U.S. Open. Planning on coming on strong for the month of August, really.
And then you've put up to a lot of big tournaments.
Right. Got a couple more tournaments to play before the U.S. Open, and then I mean, I've played well in New York in the past, and so I'm kind of hoping to just gear my schedule towards playing well there, because that's the most upside potential to have. But we'll see. Hopefully, I mean, I've been playing pretty good, honestly. The clay court swing wasn't great, but I was playing pretty good by the end of it. so we'll see. But yeah, so you can find me in North America on some hard courts coming up in the next few months for sure.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So recently coming back from the French Open qualies,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to ask you, after that epic victory over Montero,
Yeah.
It was an insane event as far as I'm concerned. I guess it's never over until it's over.
I would have thought it was
I'd
over.
just love to hear what you've got. I will sit back and just let you talk, because I'm really intrigued to hear what you've got to say about that win, because it was huge.
Well, he's a better clay court player than I am. That's that's for sure. He was that for 99% of the match. And then, so after the match, I asked my coach, like, did I save any match points? I couldn't remember if I saved a match point. And he's like, yeah, you did at 1-5 on your serve. And I knew that I should have lost because I didn't even remember the fact that I saved a match point on my own serve at 1-5 because you're not checked out, but you're kind of like, okay, well, the match is over. So, I must have very, very blurrily saved that match point, got out of the game to 5-2, and just thought, I'm just going to make as many balls as I can and see what happens. And so I went way back to return serve. I hit a decent return, won the first point on his service game at 5-2, and thought, okay, well, that's better than 15 love. So that's something. And then he proceeded to give me 3 double faults the rest of the game. Double faulted twice to love 40, gets back to 30-40, and then throws in another double. I think if he served the serve underhanded, he might have gotten out of the game and been all right. So I was a little tight on the 30-40 break point. And then at that point, 3-5, I'm thinking, okay, well, shoot, like if I run around and use some energy and try to pump myself up and show him that I'm still here, who knows? Who knows what can happen? And so I get a hold at 3-5 for 4-5, and then the same kind of thing. He played a better game at 4-5, but it's tough. I mean, we've all been there where you're up a break or 2 breaks, you don't serve for the match. You think, okay, well, I've got one more chance to do it. I sure hope nothing goes wrong. Like, you're not playing offensive anymore. You're playing hoping that you don't screw it up. And at that point, you're in trouble, because if the guy actually does play well, you will screw it up. You will. And so he didn't play his best game, played a little tight. And like I said, we've all been there. I know it. From the other side of the net, I was like, I knew exactly what he was going through, and I knew if I could play a decent game that I could get the break. And then from 5-all, it's anybody's match, really. It's anybody's match. And I actually had a few set points at 5-6 on his serve, I think. Didn't get it. Went to the breaker. The breaker was super tight. Somehow got through the breaker. It was really tight. I hit a couple good shots. And then the third set was just nails. I think I had 40-15 in the first game of the third and didn't get it. And then I was super pissed. I looked at my coach and I was like, I forgot where I came from 20 minutes ago. I'm thinking, if I could snag this break, I've got all the momentum, and I didn't. And then I'm getting pissed off, and I'm like, wait a second, dude, the match should be over. Like, chill. Like, it's okay. You know? And then it was just a bunch of holds till the breaker again. And the breaker, I was down the whole way. Hit one of probably the best forehand I hit the whole clay court swing at, I think it was 3-7 in the 10-point breaker. I slid off the court into the concrete, into the fence, and hit a downline winner that would have made it 3-8, which I think that's over at that point. So got it back to 4-7 and then came back. And just so everybody knows, with these 10-point tiebreakers, guys aren't practicing 10-point tiebreakers. So nobody really has any idea what they're doing when they get there at the end of the match.
That's normal here.
I kind of wish we played it out. I kind of enjoyed the played out vibe. It's pretty entertaining, I think.
Oh, definitely. I mean, my phone was blowing up with messages. I mean, first it was, he's 6-3, 5-1 down, and first round of qualies, and then it was like, but hold up, he's coming back. And then I was playing tennis at the time. So I'm on court with my friend Brian, and I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, I'm gonna have to sit down and just read these messages because something's going on.
Right.
So then I permanently we ended up finishing our tennis hit early, and we were sitting in the clubhouse, and we just got we got it on, and we were just like watching it, and that was it. We just couldn't focus on anything else.
That's too good.
But it was good. It was really
That's
good.
too good. Almost did it again in the second round.
I know.
Really,
Yeah.
honestly, should have sneaked out the second. Who knows about the third?
Yeah.
But I was starting to play better and better as the match went on. I didn't start very well, and was finding my footing, was finding my game. If I could have maybe sneaked out that second, but it's tough. It's tough.
I
He's a good
didn't
player.
know. I didn't really know what to expect from Kuznetsov, to be honest, because obviously he's been, similar position to yourself. He's been like top 40,
Yeah.
and then sort of gone. He's just been missing for quite a few years. And
Right.
when I saw the draw, I was like, you might sort of fancy this one.
Right.
Because he hasn't been from what I can gather, he hasn't been playing I say an awful lot, but he hasn't been playing a great deal over recent years. But
I wasn't sure what to expect either, but I was I guess I was a little slow starting, a little fried from the previous day, and it's tough when you don't start well.
Yeah,
go down in a big way, and but it would have been interesting to see if I would have won the second. What would have happened in the third? I was curious, very curious.
Would you have been thinking, I've done this already?
Yeah, well, I was thinking that when I had those set points at 6-5, and played one. I had one look at a rally and played it a little too passive, and then he aced me 3 times in a row after that, and we got to the breaker. Yeah. But would have been tough. Would have been cool, but the one, I think I maybe used up all my good luck on the on the previous day's match, because I got out of many tight, sticky situations there.
Got out of tennis jail, as they say.
Yeah, firmly. I was firmly in tennis jail, and somebody delivered me a key in a birthday cake or something, and I got out.
So obviously, you've already answered one of my next questions, like short-term goals, obviously, with your next scheduling. But what's your sort of long-term goals? I mean, I like to, and I think you're quite similar to myself, kind of stay in the now, kind of stay quite present. But do you actually set yourself any long-term goals?
Really, the only long-term goal I have is to see if I can put myself in a position to have a couple more good runs at big tournaments, really. Yeah. I'd love to get another shot at, second week of a slam again. That's kind of the goal. And so I know what that takes, and I know, physically and mentally and game-wise where you need to be to have a look at that. Ranking-wise, to get into the tournaments, to get in potentially into the main draw. Again, that would be great. But just trying to focus on getting my game and my body to the place where I feel like I can do that. And we're close for sure, but it's going to take some time. It's going to take some work to get there. But I've had wins in the last year, individual wins where I'm like, okay, the game's there and the body's there and it's good. And then there's been some setbacks to that. So it's been a challenge for sure. But yeah, I'd love to, be in the tennis sun again. Just work my way to try to get back up there.
Yeah. Well, everybody loves a comeback story. So
yeah,
we'll wait and see. I've actually got 3 questions from some followers, if you don't mind answering those.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is actually a tennis hitting buddy of mine. So he says, what's your favourite tennis tournament and why?
Wimbledon. Yeah, because it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful. It's one of the few events that still has like the old school tennis aesthetic. I feel like our aesthetic as a brand, as a sport, is not as cool as it was. I don't know. The wood rackets was cool. The grass courts were cool. There was like in that sort of pristine environment, then you could have like these personalities kind of come through more. But we've kind of, I don't know, everything's a little too loud now, and so everything's kind of drowned out. It was, it was cool that everything was kind of classy, and then if somebody had like a John McEnroe moment, then it was like a big deal. Tennis had like this, I don't know, there's this classic element to it, and we've kind of gotten away from that a lot. And so Wimbledon kind of feels like you're stepping back in time a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
Even though,
That's good to
yeah,
hear.
yeah. So I really enjoy that, and the courts are like, there's a reason why people love watching golf, because it's like calming, and all the greenery and seeing the courses, and sure, the technology's changed, but there's still so much of the classic elements still there. And tennis is not as much, I think. But Wimbledon, when we get to play it, I feel like it brings us back, and I really enjoy that.
Oh, that's great to hear. I mean, that was the first time I saw you live on court one when you played Djokovic. And I was sitting there with my dad, and I just remember saying to him, I just love how this guy plays. It was very... this is just my opinion. I think you play very instinctively, which is kind of how I play. I don't really have too much of a game plan, but I like to play as I feel, how the match is going and whatever else. And I was just, I don't know, you just play different, and it's entertaining to watch. And I think not knowing what's going to come next is quite exciting.
I definitely don't know what's going to come next.
Yeah, no, well, neither do I when I'm playing. So, but it's you know, there's so many people that I see on the pro tour now, and it's very robotic. It's very, let's just hit from the back of the court. And I don't know, you seem to mix it up. You seem to serve and volley. There's just more to your game than other people that I watch on tour, and it's quite nice to see. In all honesty,
I appreciate that. Thanks, Frank.
Next question is actually from another hitting buddy of mine. Who was your inspiration growing up? If you had any, obviously.
I did. I had a few as I progressed on the tennis journey. Like I said, I loved Rafter. I loved Ivanisevic when he made that run, and other runs. I liked Andre in his second half of his career a lot.
I agree.
Like, I'd watch him play, and he was so pure that made me want to go play. Like, I'd watch him ball strike, and I'm like, I want to go try to ball strike like that. Like, I can't, but I'd love to go try. I'd love to hit backhands like that.
Yeah. So clean. Very, very clean.
It's just like, that's how I kind of, people that made me want to go play, were like kind of the inspirations that I enjoyed. Like, I'd watch them play tennis, and it made me want to go play tennis. Like, I never had that with Roger, for example. I'd watch him play, and it's beautiful, but it never made me want to go play because I can't play like that, you know? It's like, it makes me want to burn my rackets, not go play tennis. Another guy that I loved watching play, and as I got older, who I've gotten the opportunity to play a few times now, is Simone. I love watching Gilles play. It made me sad that I wasn't 40 pounds lighter and running like a deer, but just his defensive skills, it made me want to go play. Like, I think I was in college, and it made me, maybe it didn't help my game at all. It made me more defensive. I wanted to grind and run and counterpunch. And Monfils was kind of like that too. I love watching Monfils play as I get older. But
that's interesting because we're not too dissimilar of age. There's only a few years between yourself and me. And I think me growing up, obviously you follow your parents, what they like in tennis, but I was a huge Thomas Muster fan, just for his pure fight and his grit, and then the injury he had and then came back.
Right.
I just was mesmerised by Rios. Rios was just so classy to watch. But yeah,
I was a big Guga fan as well. I love watching Guga play. Yeah. I love
quality. And he looked cool. He had the good looking clothing. It was good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The pristine Diodora cuts. Those things were.
Where are they? Where are they gone?
That was one of the last good kits. Honestly, one of the last good kits was like Adidas 2008 or 2007. It was that the gold shirt that Novak wore at the Open, I think.
I know.
Novak and Sasha was wearing that. That was like one of the last good cuts.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been kind of just this, I don't know, like it's like the Microsoft Paint guy got a little crazy and just started throwing screensaver paint on shirts and just said, here you go. I don't know.
I'm glad I'm doing what I'm doing. And hopefully the tennis world's ready for it. This question's from my dad. This is the last the followers. This is from my dad. He said, "Who's the most challenging player you've faced, and why?" He said, "Oh, go on." And there's a second part to that.
Oh, sorry.
And who do you find that your game style matches up good against?
Good against. Okay, so I would probably say since we played a lot when we were coming up through challengers, it would be Cam Nori.
Okay.
We played one fall, I think fall of 2017. We played 4 times I lost to him 4 times in a row in the fall. Like once was like second round, then like a final, then a semi, and I just couldn't beat him. He was playing great, and it's a tough matchup for me. He's really good against righties. He funnels that backhand through guys' forehands and makes you hit up, and then he runs you to the backhand, and it's just a whole disaster, really. It's not fun. And so I feel like that honestly helped me, though, because I made the first Australian Open run to start 2018, and I feel like it helped me that he kicked my ass a few times. It kind of gave me a good sort of lesson into where I need to get better and how I can improve to play against a guy like that. Even though it was challengers, I felt like he was playing great tennis, and he's vindicated me since since then. But I would say him a lot for sure. Somebody I match up well against.
It's an interesting question.
Somebody that I enjoy playing, I guess, that we played a few times would be Fognini. We played a few times in slams, and I've gotten him the last 2 times in kind of big matches. So I feel like he's obviously an artist when he plays and phenomenal ball striker, and I'm sort of just a fighter, and so we kind of match up funny. I've played very well against him. If I don't play well, I can't win. It's impossible. But I've played my best tennis, I think, and he's kind of brought out the best tennis in me. But he's sort of, over there with his paintbrush and a little bit angry, I guess. And I'm over on the other side of the net with a hard hat and a lunch pail, just trying to fight my way through. And so we're kind of like clashing styles in that way.
Oh, that's good.
Which kind of makes it interesting, I think. But I've gotten the better of him just a little bit, just with just a little bit more grit, I think. But
mentally,
I've enjoyed playing him quite a bit.
I think he's quite underrated, and maybe just because of how he is on the tennis court, maybe that's underrated. But his forehand, his backhand.
Oh, he's insane. He's insane. He's an insane tennis player. It's a joke how much power he has. With such, I mean, to be fair, with very little footwork. I mean, he very little footwork, and he just strikes the ball an absolute joke. Yeah.
Okay. Right. This is a question I'd like to ask you, actually.
Sure.
Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to somebody who's pursuing to become a tennis pro?
It depends how old you are. But I would say 2 things. I would say that if you put in work the right way for 3 to 5 years, let's say you're 17, and you do it the right way of 3 to 5 years, you really don't know how much better you can get and where you can be in that time frame, rather than looking short-sighted week to week, thinking I'm just going to put my head down and do the work and do it the right way and have the right mentality and try to be positive and see what happens. It's like a lot can happen. A lot can happen. You really don't know. And so there's no reason to get despondent. There's no reason to beat yourself up over tough days or tough losses. Because it's a tough journey. It's very tough. And so you should probably try to be your best friend out there.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's kind of I wish I took a better approach to that. I would say I kind of lived and died a little too much with each week. And I still do, really. But when you're trying to make your way in the beginning, in the early stages, it's just, you have to get better. I don't care where you're at. You need to get better. And so to get better, you can't be too focused on, what's going on from a results standpoint, but just from, am I working? Am I trying to play my matches the right way? I mean, am I fighting the right way? You know, don't waste time with bad energy and with being negative and um, all the nonsense stuff that just doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
be productive every day and do it the right way. And if you do that for 5 years and you're not where you want to be, or you're not getting better, I'd be shocked. Really,
Yeah.
I'd be shocked that you weren't a better player. Like, people would see me from like 2013, 14 to like 2016, 17. People that wouldn't see me for a few months would be like, "Oh wow, you're looking good. Like, you're playing pretty good." It's things like that, and they'd be like, "I would hope so, because I've been playing tennis every day since the last time you saw me, and I've been trying to get better. Like, I'd hope I got better. Like, holy shit." Or like a year goes by or something, and it's like, "Wow, you're that's looking great." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's been a year, and I've been playing tennis every day, so I would hope it's better." Uh, you know, and 5 years is a long time, and 5 years is a long time if you're doing things the right way.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much better each individual person can get, but you will get better.
Yeah.
That's for sure. That's for
Yeah.
sure. I've seen it. I've seen it with guys. You know, like when I was playing Cam in 2017 a bunch of times. Was he a top? I don't know. What is he? Is he top 20 right now, or
He is.
top 30?
I think he. No,
At least top
I
30.
think Alcaraz. I think Alcaraz overtook him in the rankings to go like 9th or 10th. So I think Norrie is either 10th, 11th, or 12th. He's
Okay,
got
I think maybe that's right. Yeah. Okay, so like he wasn't the 10th best player in the world, let's say. No, but he's just been doing the work the right way every day, over and over again, with the right mentality,
Yeah.
and good people around him, and
Yeah.
he's the 10th best player in the world.
Yeah. And
Like,
all credit to him for doing that, because
yeah, absolutely.
people don't see what goes on off the court.
No. So maybe you're not the 10th best player in the world, but maybe you could go from 500 to 100.
Well, we
Why not?
had a story over here, Dan Evans.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had a bit of a crazy time midway through his career, and he didn't play for, I think, a good 12 months. He went down to like 1,000 in the world, and he was 50 at the time, and he had to play ITF's challengers and work his way back up, and he's worked his way back up to the top 30 again.
Right.
So
right. I know Dan. He's a great player, and that was a hell of an effort to grind back from that and come back from that.
He's I really enjoy watching him, because he has got that sort of old school sort of style, and
he is a talent, man. He put a golf club in his hand, put a squash racket in his hand. He has just got phenomenal hands.
Yeah,
he's a phenomenal talent, but he's a fighter, and I think that whole experience made him more resilient. Honestly,
I agree. And
he's a more resilient man from that. It's hard not to be. If you come back from that, you will for sure be a stronger person.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
good effort, honestly.
I've got one question about the tour. We're nearly nearly out of questions. But no, is there a solidarity between the tennis pros? You know, is there a togetherness on the tennis tour?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's definitely like an understanding between guys, like a camaraderie, because nobody really knows what it's like except for the people that you're around that are going through it as well.
Yeah. Because I get like hearsay, and I hear from, there's a guy in the UK that I sponsor. He's, and I hear things from him, and there's a couple of guys that are coming back from Denver Uni. They're just finishing university, and they tell me about like college tennis and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's just interesting to see if there's a togetherness on tour between the players.
A lot of guys, and it's kind of regional to a degree. Like, the people that speak each other's language, they're more likely to be, more friendly with those people. Makes sense. But like, just in general, I think there's a good amount of respect everybody has for their peers, because you know what it's like, you know what you have to go through, you know the struggles, and so, I mean, it's honestly it's a good sort of brotherhood, I guess.
Yeah. I'm pleased to hear that. I that's what I'd imagine it would be like, if I was ever on tour, for instance. I'd like to think there would be that sort of friendliness and friendship and sort of camaraderie.
Cutthroat, but it's cutthroat in a respectful way, I guess.
No, that's good. Is there anything you'd change to improve the tour at all? Is there anything you change about the tour?
It's a good question. Honestly, I'd love to play test like futures or something where the matches were time based and
Wow.
not score based.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I'd love to try to expedite some of these at least lower tier tournaments where you can't really market it because you don't know how long anything is going to last. You can't set times for when people are going to play. Like you really have no idea what's going on. You have to start matches super early in the day because they could go upwards of 3 hours, and so then you can't start it, for example, when people are off work or kids are out of school.
Yeah.
And so you're starting, who cares about a challenger match on a Tuesday at 11? Like,
yeah.
What's the point exactly?
Yeah.
Why not? If you were able to start the matches at 3 o'clock because you knew that the match was only going to last an hour and 10 minutes but the fitness is still there because if you played an hour and 10 minutes with very little break, you're going to be dead, exhausted. So the fitness component's still there. It's just a more expedient form. Because really, I mean, you can't market challengers, you can't market futures, you can't. Some do, I guess maybe break even, but most challengers don't break even. They need to be subsidized.
Yeah.
So if you have to be subsidized anyway, you might as well toy around with.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I try to watch as many as I can. Got the French Open on in the background at the minute, but I do generally try and watch as many challenges and futures as I can because it's nice to see who's coming through and what to expect. And I remember seeing Tsitsipas when he was, I think he was like 400 or something in the world, and I remember saying I was a member of a David Lloyd Centre back here in the UK, and I remember saying to a gentleman who was a member at the club, this guy will be top 10. And he was like, never heard of him. I was like, where are you going to? Because I'm telling you now, this guy's got fight, this guy's got this. You will see him within the next 3 or 4 years. And lo and behold, yeah. I mean, when I was, I don't know how young I would be. My dad saw Federer at 17. And, this is, but the truth, he turned around and said he's arguably going to be the greatest player of all time because Dad saw him and he was like, he's got something. And he was 17. I think it was when he played. Didn't he play somebody like Kafelnikov or at Basel or Agassi maybe? And Dad called it then, and I was just like, like 5, 6 years later, I was like, okay.
Right.
So yeah, it's
well done, Dad.
Yeah, well done, Dad. Yeah, good on him. And this is my last question, and it is away from tennis, kind of. If you wasn't a tennis player, like, what do you think you would be? What do you think you? And I know it's a tough question, but
brutal. It's a brutally hard question. Man, I don't know. Maybe I'd probably. It's hard to strip that away from any. It's such a big part of my identity, but I would love to maybe go back to school and do. I don't know. Try to get a master's in psychology, maybe. If I wasn't playing tennis or had never played tennis, that's something that interests me, and I don't know what I would do with that exactly.
Whether psychiatrist or something, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but I would want to do that, but like either sports psychology or, heaven forbid, I counsel people. I don't know.
No, I think you'd be good at that.
That would certainly be an interesting field that I find grips my attention for sure.
Yeah, it's just an interesting question because I'm originally a barber, a hairdresser, and I've started my own tennis clothing company, and I chef at a restaurant as well as part-time. So when somebody says to me, if you wasn't a hairdresser, what do you think you'd be? I think I'm just kind of doing the things that you know, you just tend to fall into things like life just takes you which way you want to go, or which way it thinks you should go. And yeah, I think maybe trusting the universe and letting it lead you in the way it wants to is probably best. Is probably best.
I'd love to open a gym. Maybe I would have opened a gym.
Yeah.
That. Like, and lift 8 hours a day.
Be hench as anything.
As massive as I possibly can, because I don't need, at that point, I don't need thoracic mobility or any sort of, my general health doesn't really matter at that point. It's just how large can I get. I would find that to be very, very enjoyable.
That'd be quite cool.
I don't know what I would do with that, but those are just things that call to me, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, listen, I really, really appreciate you for taking time today, and
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of you play for the calendar year. It's going to be good, and of course, I'll support you every which way possible. And yeah, I wish you luck, and keep grinding. It's the biggest word.
I will.
Keep grinding. But no, thank you for today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a pleasure. I enjoyed it. Happy to be part of the family. Everybody go check out o0ne Clothing. They're fantastic. And yeah, man, absolutely. Let's keep in touch. Be well. Have a good one. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I appreciate it.
See you soon.
Later.